What's up, guys? Another Friday, another live stream. You know how we do it. Going over the old purple people eater up here. The old Jeff car. Got some interesting things up there. Some other interesting things about the shop. So, gonna let a few people filter in. So far, no one is here. So let's get those numbers up, baby, and then we'll dive into it. To you once we are done with the live stream. Let's go ahead and see what we got today, fellas. Boop, 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 boop. Send. All right. So, got Arturo over here, going to town, doing his thing. How's it going, Arturo?
It's going.
It's going. Gotta love it. ATI getting on there. Look at these beautiful, beautiful BES pistons. Happy Friday, Chris. Hope you're doing good. Look at that. Oh, it's so shiny.
Hey, don't touch anything.
Okay, don't touch anything. I'm getting yelled at over here. My tech hits me. So, look at that nice new shiny everything. Golly. She's a pretty one. Nope, today is certainly Friday, unless I'm mistaken, but I hope not. So, got some work going on here. So hopefully you'll see the old purple people eater back up in action pretty soon here. Parts for the Jeep, finally good news from the Jeep side. Parts, I'm sorry, please leave a voicemail. Please leave a voicemail. But parts have finally started showing up. So we got a whole bunch of them down yonder. Windage tray, all these goodies. Thank God. Kept giving us pushback dates. We want some action. So currently under my car. Finally, he's fixing it. Thank you, Josh. Get those exhaust leaks taken care of. Get us a data log. Let's go, baby. Let's go. So, did sell one of the Trackhawk motors. We still do have a Trackhawk motor available if you would like it. We can work no blower, with a blower, ported blower. Let us know. We might be able to work a deal out with you, but we do have a Trackhawk motor currently available. The other one did sell, so we're back down to one. We had two, only one now. So, you know how it goes. Making this thing all sorts of pretty. So, breeze by it. We got Matt doing his stuff. Getting the old charger clean for Arturo.
Make sure you get that one in the video.
Yeah, that's Arturo's little charger. And unlike the Subaru, I don't think he's taking it through any fields, but it's still as dirty as if he did. So Matt's putting his little touch on it. So let's go out here. Let's see what we got going. We got twin Trackhawks. And if you see them charge pipes, both are twin turbos. So this one's about done. Just a very few things left on it. Dual billet evolution catch cans. Braided line looking so pretty. Billet evolution valve covers to manage all the crankcase pressures and to look pretty. Look at them things, man. You know, I know y'all Hellcat folks hate doing spark plug changes. These make it way easier. I can speak from experience. So much nicer. So this setup, even on these big old wheels, it made, I want to say, around 1080 on 22 pounds. So one of our most powerful twin turbo Trackhawks on that boost. And that is stock motor, stock trans, just fuel system upgrades, boost, and then Jeremy's magic on the computer. So go ahead, peep down there maybe. You might be able to see him. There you go. You can see him. Boop. And then boop. So, twins, baby. Let's come over here. Oh. It's so nice to see. We got little ying. White and black Trackhawks twin turbos. It's so nice. It is so nice to see. So, I'm going twins on my own car. I can't wait. Every day being surrounded by stuff like this, it just gets the excitement up. Both of these are still stock blowers. So stock blowers, stock upper pulley, all the extra pressure and power comes from the boost, baby. So that's the power, flexibility. So gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. This one, there's still some to do. I believe there's still some flex fuel. We got to get on it. Gonna try and get her on the dyno next week, hopefully earlier in the week, and we'll have some numbers there for you. But yeah, 1080, 22 pounds. Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. So let's see what else we got. Got the old twin turbo scat. Doing a little smoke test on it. Had some signs of vacuum leaks, so everyone's around. Again, If you need a callback, please leave a voicemail. We do not return calls without voicemails. Just do the high volume. But the color combo on this thing, powder coated wheels, so pretty. Look at this cage. Look at this cage. Purple cars, Jeff. I don't know if you saw the good news, but that one's just for you, Jeff. Arturo's doing his magic just for you, baby. So we'll have her back up and operational shortly. I do have your hat. Do keep in mind, y'all, we have hats, shirts, beanies, skull caps, whatever you want to call them. New merch available. So a little wide body in. He is getting some new Texas Speed headers. The old long tube headers on there are leaking like you wouldn't believe, throwing fuel trims off. That is not safe. Little CT5 Blackwing action, baby. Matt was finishing up the PPF. Full wash package, all of it. Ceramic coat wheels. Golly. Yeah, Jeff, those pistons are gorgeous. So Matt did his work on this thing. Look at the shine, baby. Look at the shine. So Igla has been installed as well. I'm not going to show you that. PPF'd. Full ceramic coat?
It's going to be full ceramic.
Going to have a full ceramic coat, so full paint, correction, IGLA, all that good stuff. Look at this carbon, baby. Oh, God. You guys know I love my Dodges, but there is something about this caddy. Especially that interior. Especially that interior. It's a manual, too. Hubba, hubba. Get me some of that. So I don't want to touch it. Matt will probably kill me if I do, but yeah, all of it. We are here for you. WK1 turbo action. I'll just show it quickly. Our fabricator's in the process of making a custom manifold for it. So that's just a little quick update on it. Nice stainless stuff. So still a work in progress, not done by any means, but she is getting moving. So you gotta love it, baby. You gotta love it. But yeah, I mean, that's about what's it for the shop. Finally, some good updates. Parts are showing up. Things are moving. Things are grooving. It is so nice to see. Of course, Matt doing his action. If your car's here, you want a detail, ceramic coat, wrap, hit us up. We can probably work something out. But, you know, we always got you guys covered no matter what you need. We are here for you 110% of the way. Jeff, I am so glad to see that car getting worked on. I can't wait to have you back out in that thing, man. It's been too long. So let's go ahead and see where Jeremy is. New hat. You might see it soon. Not yet out, though. Not yet out. Mine only. Mine only. Don't forget, let's go in here, take a little peek. Just wanted to show you all the good news. New hats. And we got pink now, so if there is someone in your life that is a big fan of pink, you can get him in that Satera Tuning merch. When that new hat drops, I want a purple one. Let me show you something, Jeff. Right on my desk, just for you. That new purple hat. That new purple hat. So, let's get into the could you, would you, should yous. Let's see where Jeremy's at. And start asking questions. So, Jeremy, ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome, baby. I do have the prototype. If it crushes my head, there's not much brain in there to go missing, so. All right, J Money.
Broke my watch.
Broke his watch. How are you going to tell the time?
I don't know.
It's race car clock, baby.
Yeah, race.
Street car clock, sorry. Sorry, I spoke too soon.
What's going on, everybody? All right, so let's kick it off. What do we got?
Just had a couple of these, actually. People calling in and asking these questions. So, if you're trying to go for a big power build, you know, let's say 1500 wheel horsepower, is it more cost efficient to start with a V6 car, an RT, a Scat, a Hellcat?
Sorry, we'll call you back.
Yep.
If you leave a voicemail. So, big horsepower car, what car do you start with? So, very good question, and it really depends on what you're trying to get. So, what are the differences really from a Hellcat to a V6, right? Anything non-Hellcat, in regards to a chassis, is going to be the same. So, you're going to end up replacing everything anyway. So, the motor, the transmission, upgrading the rear end correctly, drivetrain components, fuel system. Literally all you're using when going for these big numbers is the body, right? Now, why is the Hellcat special? It's because of the ability of the PCM The biggest thing is they have widebands from the factory. So the beautiful thing about that, as long as you have a clean exhaust flow with no exhaust leaks or vacuum leaks, your fueling is going to be what you're commanding at any given time. So like a standalone, let's say you don't really know how to tune a car, but you can put in a number for what AFR you want to see. That's what the Hellcat PCM provides you. Naturally, when you jump into the suspension abilities and the suspension that comes with as well from the factory, if you're going to yank all that out and put in a drag race specific suspension, but like on our shop car, we used the DSC controller to utilize the factory components because the ability to adjust on the fly is huge. We cut high 1.2, low 1 360 foot full weight all day long, and then if you go race car and you strip out at 500-600 pounds, it's even better. So the suspension components it comes with is outstanding. So that's really what you're getting in regards to an additional benefit from starting with a Hellcat platform out of the gate. Now, can you convert a non-Hellcat to that? Sure, there's ways where you can swap the whole wiring harness and everything out on it, but once you start diving into that, you're really probably better off just starting with a Hellcat. The other thing is, you don't always go into it wanting to sell your vehicle, but if you do, in the initial stages, I can pick up a V6 chassis for, 15 grand, high mileage, everything like that, because I'm replacing everything, I get a nice jump start. And then you dump 100 grand into it, well, you still only have a $15,000 car, regardless of what it's capable of. It's going to be very, very hard to go out and try to sell a V6 converted to Hellcat 1,500 horsepower car for anything more than what a V6 is. Shoot, even the Hellcat built vehicles like our shop car, guys struggle to sell those modded cars all the time. So although the initial investment they have starts off higher, the residual on the back end is higher as well in regards to what the value of the vehicle is. But the biggest thing from a performance standpoint is it's the closest thing to a standalone in regards to, it's got widebands from the factory. A lot of additional... For the Hellcat, I like the fail-safes it has into place, especially with our flex field, the ability on a supercharged application to bleed boost, the injector pulse width limit safety in place, right? If all of a sudden you lean out on fuel pressure on a V6, a 5.7 392, the car doesn't know. It goes into open loop and wide open throttle, so it's just going to give you the feeling that you command at any given time, where on a Hellcat, if that injector opens too far because it's compensating for lack of fuel pressure or whatever you say, that there's good safeties in place. That's why I'm a fan of starting with a Hellcat. Now, is starting with a red eye necessary? No. That's where you kind of cut it off. A nice 2015 chassis, that's all you need in regards to that. So you can save a little bit on that one. You don't need to go out and get a 23 or 22 Hellcat. But the safeties and the widebands in place just make it a little more efficient and safer when you start pushing limits like that. It is nice to see boost bled off or a throttle closing when the injector has to open real quick, to try and compensate for the lack of fuel pressure because the fuel pump fails. Other than a Hellcat platform, nothing's going to see that. So, that's a good one. So
Absolutely, man.
What else?
How much of a difference is there between the 310 pulley and a 285, 286?
Leave a message. Somebody keeps calling. Leave a message. We'll call you back.
Yeah.
So the difference in it, just over a quarter of an inch, right? Just kidding, but realistically, a 310, for example, adds about 1 to 1.5 pounds of boost to any given, from a stock pulley combination. Going to our 286 upper adds roughly 4 to 5 pounds of boost depending on your altitude, right? So that's the difference. Is you're going to see about 3 to 4 pounds of difference, right? So in regards to wear and tear, both are considered to be safe RPM. Naturally, the slower you spin a blower, the less parasitic draw there is to it, because the faster you spin the rotors, the more parasitic draw. Also, the faster you spin something, the more heat that gets generated. So that's one of those where you have to weigh the options of, okay, do I want additional boost, which comes with more heat and friction, or do I want to spin it slower to reduce the heat, less friction, and will it achieve the power you want? So we'll use my personal car, for example, the Charger Hellcat. So that is a red-eye swapped Charger, 2017 Charger. So it has a red-eye engine, red-eye transmission, and it has the 2.7 blower. I sent it off to be ported because we don't like the tolerance and bearing issues that those 2.7 have being spun, I opted for a 310 upper only. So I have a stock lower and a 310 upper. At the track with a super soft leave, with a stock throttle body, the car did 10.0s easy. If I put timing in it down low, it would have been a 980, 970 car easy. If I swapped the throttle body, which is what I did on the first pass, it actually made more power than what my fuel pumps could actually handle. So it actually closed the throttle at the top end of the track. That's why the tune in it when it went 10.0s was for having that aftermarket throttle body. But the things that I didn't see in 80, 85 degree weather with 3000 DA was excessive air charge temps. I'm barely spinning the blower over stock, you know what I mean? And utilizing a port on it, it just improved the efficiency for if I wanted more boost. So my air charge temps, 30, 40 degrees maybe at most above ambient on the back of the pass, and then driving back down, they cool down to 20, 30 above ambient. To our guys with the 286 upper or a combo 286 10 lower, sure you might make more boost on the dyno in a controlled environment, make more horsepower, but at the top of the pass when you're making 180 degrees, at the top end of the track where you're 180 degrees on your air charge temps, you're not really making that much more power. So those are all things to consider. But the 286 is the most aggressive boost combination we like to see on pump gas for a stock vehicle. It's still within the safe range in regards to spinning the rotors, so no concerns whatsoever. The 2.7s, the red eyes demons, the original demons, we prefer the 310 upper unless you plan on porting the blower with HD race bearings. You don't have to port it, but at least the HD race bearings. So yeah, that's basically our recommendation for it. And like I said, although it's a couple pound difference in boost, you're not really exceeding any safeties or anything in regards to blower speeds.
Absolutely. Good question. More of a red-eye specific question now.
Yeah.
Red-eye camshafts.
Mm-hmm.
Should you swap it out for an aftermarket camshaft? What kind of power should you expect? How are the stock camshafts?
One of the minor tweaks they made from the Hellcat to the red eyes, just a small minor tweak to the cam. And generally what we see out of those is, the Hellcats will carry the RPM and have more of a higher peak number. With the red eye cam profile and settings, what we see is it gets to peak horsepower quicker and then flatlines more. So it's a good cam. It's a boost specific cam. Gains, so this is how it works. Generally when we do a swap for a cam, right out of the gate you might not see a large gain. 10, 15, maybe 20 horsepower depending on what you're spinning the blower to, right? Because what you're doing is actually improving the efficiency of the engine. So we can do a more aggressive cam profile that will essentially... so we can drop the boost levels. Now what that allows us to do is increase the boost to gain back that power. So you'll get that, we'll say 15, 20 just from a cam install. Usually we do long tubes at the same time. 20 horsepower is what you'll see at that given time. But now you can pulley down to bump that boost back up to what you might have lost. This goes for even 5.7 392s when you do a cam change and or long tube header install. It increases the efficiency, meaning the supercharger doesn't have to work as hard, meaning it's not seeing as much resistance. So I would say 15, 20 out of the gate. Generally you can pulley down to add the 2-3 pounds of boost that you lose, and then that's where you see 60, 70, 80 horsepower gains by doing a cam swap because it improves the efficiency. So you want to talk about a killer combo. We had a car in here, another shop built it, but it just goes to show you. Ford's 6.2 because they melted the original motor down, so we did long tube headers and a cam. So it was essentially a stock 6.2 with just upgraded rods, pistons, compression stayed the same, and they did an aftermarket cam. The car made 900 to the wheels on pump gas. Right at the 14, 15 pounds of boost we want to see because of the pulley. Now mind you, it was pulleyed like an E85 car, but because it was only 14, 15 pounds of boost, we were able to make those type of power numbers. So that is where the benefit comes in, is you're dropping the boost. So you do that with a ported blower, and porting a blower adds boost, cam and headers drops boost, so you equal out, and then you can pulley down again. So that's the whole point of it. Is it's not necessarily the initial gain that you see, but what the potential is with the combination of the gains you could see. So
man, 900 wheel on 93.
93, yeah.
That is nice.
Yeah.
That is nice.
Yeah, it actually ran out of fuel pump out of the stock fuel pump, so we had to throw in 2 pumps to keep up on pump gas still. So yeah, it was a very happy customer.
When upgrading an engine, at what levels, if any, would you recommend with going with an aftermarket crank? Benefits of aftermarket cranks versus OEM. I see Mike asking about the Kelly Ultra Crank.
Callie's, yeah, Callie makes very good. So the 392 Hellcat cranks are forged, right? So forged is very strong. So generally, what I tell my customers is 1300 wheel. I am comfortable running that type of horsepower back to back with a stock crank. Beyond that, that's when you start getting into looking into billet cranks, which are going to be slightly stronger, maybe a little bit of weight savings depending how they're made. And then generally, when people end up swapping the crank out, they go to a stroked crank. So that's really what it is. 95% of people out there could technically keep the stock crank and be happy with the power that they're going to make. But when we want to go to stroke in the motor, you're naturally going to choose, do I need a forged crank or do I want a billet crank? So a couple grand difference in pricing for a little added stability and reliability from that billet crank. It's just stronger. So generally, what I gauge for individuals is if you're exceeding that 1300 wheel horsepower mark, 1400s a goal, 1500s a goal, let's get a billet crank in there. It's just, like I said, when you're looking at the grand scheme of the cost of things, when you're that deep in, a couple grand additional is not going to break the bank.
Especially for peace of mind.
Peace of mind, that's 100% what it is. You just don't want to do it a second time. And I have seen guys over the years where, all right, I went in and it's very rare to see a crank fail, so it just goes to generally if you do a billet crank, you do a billet set of rods as well, and it's going to be more so the rod failure. But yeah, over the years, just seeing what can happen, it's one of those, like I said, 1300 wheel, run that stock crank, no problem, no concerns. It is a forged crank. It comes down to balancing and the other components kind of surrounded with it. So we recommend beyond that 1300, 1400 range, let's throw that billet in there. Callie's great products. Yeah, they make very good.
I guess kind of tying in, getting real deep with engine questions. Should you, at any point, does it matter, switching from the stock iron block to an aluminum block or a billet block? Is there a point where, all the aluminum block is better, or, billet block? Or
yeah, so general rule of thumb, what you'll see out of the abused blocks and big horsepower, understand dyno numbers, dyno vehicle, there's, even unloaded dynos, they're very short comparative to that of a 8.5 second pull shifting through gears, or a wide open throttle pull rolling trying to get your 60 to 130 number, or whatever the case may be. So when it comes down to that, you want to keep that considerable, where you see people, I made 1600 wheel horsepower out of my BGE block. Sure, on the dyno, absolutely, you can make probably 2000 and it'll live through a pull, right? But once you put real world load, launching from a dead stop, trying to cut 1/160 foots and trying to make 1800 wheel horsepower, that's when you're going to start to see the limits. And I will say, I tell guys all the time, 1550 wheel over that, the higher that number, the quicker your block's going to split. And literally that's what it does. Now, you can reinforce them by filling them. So if you don't know what that means, it's literally they start filling water jackets and passageways with cement. Essentially trying to solidify the block where those weak spots are. So when you go to a billet block, that's essentially what they do from, when they make it, is they just fill those unnecessary areas where normally you would fill the block. So the cheaper way until the aluminum blocks are available is you would fill a block to strengthen it. But still, you're relying on that casted iron to, be strong in those given areas. So realistically, when I hear, my goal is over 1600 wheel horsepower, where if you do rough math is about 1800 crank, depending on what you're looking at in regards to that, that's when I'd probably say, okay, it's worth the extra 7-8 grand to jump to a billet aluminum block that's strengthened for that type of power. Again, that's where you're going to see they rate them to 2,000, 2,500 crank horsepower, just due to the fact of structural integrity, how it's built, how it's made. They're going to be stronger. So 1500 wheel, go for it. Really, like I said, that 1550 number and over, you will see the block split. And there's plenty of guys out there that have pushed them past that and have seen the block split. So this isn't just a made-up number. It's like I said, the higher the number, obviously, the higher the risk. You like to, and the other problem too is how heavy these things are. So naturally, it all comes down to load and stress on the vehicle. So if you have a 2,500 pound vehicle with it, it might be able to take a little bit more, but the reality is, majority of us are going to be running around at or above 4,000 pounds before drivers in it. It's a ton of load on all the components.
Heavy.
So heavy. So that's
especially the SUVs. The
the
bigger
SUVs,
the bigger the vehicle,
TRXs,
right.
you know what I mean?
Oh god, yeah, the TRX.
You know, there's horsepower in regards to cylinder pressure. I mean, you got to keep all things considered what actual cylinder pressure is. And the fact that although the dyno reading might be the same, there's a lot of other things that go into that type of readout, right? So yeah, a lot of stress goes on within those components. So good
Absolutely.
question.
I already know the answer, but I'll ask it because it was asked. But let's say Durango Hellcat or Trackhawk, WK2 S platform, for power and drivability, would you say Gen 6 Whipple or twin turbo? And what other modifications need to be to help the driveline out, if any?
So again, more so it depends on the goals with the vehicle. Mm-hmm. We always say that. What are your goals?
Like a street truck or something.
Well, again, horsepower goals. Right. A street truck. Does that mean you're going to do dig racing, street racing?
Right.
Are you going to go to the track? Is it a daily? So these are things to understand. Is the reason for a 3.8 Whipple is big horsepower, right? Big superchargers are for big airflow. That's the whole point of making it bigger. Now, again, we'll use numbers to make it easy. If you say, hey, I want 1,000 to the wheels, there's absolutely no reason to do a 3.8 Whipple. You can get that out of a 3.0, right? So you don't want to go bigger. The objective with both turbos, the objective with blowers, any type of power adder for a street vehicle is getting the most horsepower out of the smallest devices you can. Why? The bigger you go, the more sacrifice there is. Whether it is the parasitic drain from spinning massive 3.8 liter worth of rotors, right? Or if you have massive turbos, the fact that it needs a ton of exhaust gases to spin them, so you need a high stall converter. So bigger is not always better. That's why for us the horsepower goal or the ET goal is just as important. So when you say street truck, does a street truck really need more than 900 wheel horsepower? No, so port that 2.4 blower and call it. Or turbos, whether compound boosted or not, you have the flexibility of adjusting your boost on the fly. So I know you went over the one we just finished that made 1,080. That truck's going to have multiple boost settings where it can make 800 wheel horsepower, or I'm going to give him 1,100 wheel horsepower setup. And all he has to do is push a button in his car. So 3.8 Whipple, can't do that. To get that 1,100 or whatever that big horsepower number is, you have to have it pulleyed at that all the time, or you physically have to change pulleys, belts, whatever the case may be, to achieve that. So flexibility-wise, turbos get the notch. Especially compound boost, it's a great street car setup. You know what I'm saying? As you saw, that truck out there sitting there made 1,080 to the wheels at peaking 22 pounds of boost. It was hovering 20, 21, and towards the top it just peaked to 22, so I'm going to advertise the 22 number, but it was mainly 21 pounds of boost. Very, very proper, efficient setup. Normally, on those, the Trackhawks, you're seeing about 23, 24 is what it takes. So that being a 21, maybe it's nice and tight, whatever the case may be, but that's why his torque number being at 960 compared to the 1,030 like we did last time was because we ran less boost to achieve the customer's goal. But he has the flexibility. If we did a 3.8 Whipple on that, you lose that flexibility.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, so that's why you want to try to get the smallest supercharger you can to maintain that efficiency. You don't want to have to make 28 pounds of boost to achieve a number. You can do it with less because of the fact that the blower doesn't take as much to spin, right? So in regards to blowers over the years, the 3.8 Whipple is a decently efficient blower in regards to the output it makes at any given boost level, but they're still very large. It takes a lot of horsepower to spin them. And think about it this way: the factory IHI blower that we call a 2.4 blower usually averages 100, 150 wheel horsepower that it takes to spin it. So think about that. A blower that's approaching just under 2 times the size, it's going to take a lot more horsepower to spin it. So that also depends on the rest of the engine, right? Generally, a nice 426 or a big stroker will be happier with a bigger blower, where a smaller motor not so much, right? So the efficiency drops again just based on the initial torque that the motor makes. So turbos kind of get the notch naturally. If you spec them too big, there's some lag. If you compound boost it, you're not going to be as efficient as turbos only, but you're still just as efficient, if not maybe slightly more than if it was a larger blower, right? You don't have to spin a blower as high with a compound boost setup compared to a Whipple. You'd have to spin to achieve the same number. So it really comes down to that goal.
Is that truck out there, that black one I was showing, that's stock pulleys?
Stock, yeah, untouched. Yeah, blower's never been off. You know, that
Nope.
literally belt's never been off, pulley's never been. Nothing has been off of that truck. We bolted on. You know, injectors, booster pump, and a turbo kit. You know, 3 things. Obviously, we know the cost of it, but it's literally 3 things to make 1,100 wheel horsepower.
You gotta love it, man.
You know, and if you start breaking down to do that out of a Whipple, you know, understand the cylinder pressure, like I said, is the same for the output to be the same, but you got to just be conscious of what is also consuming that cylinder pressure. So flexibility always goes to a turbo setup, and if it's spec correctly, that lack of low to mid-range power is not as bad as what most think. So especially in a compound boost setup, it's a lot of fun. So very, very good street setup. It drives like stock, launches like stock, but it has the big end of the turbo. So it's you know, it's got our vote naturally, as you can tell by the turbo cars we have here. My personal vehicles, I converted this guy finally. He's putting the Huron speed kit on his. So he's got a blower for sale, and that abrupt 2650.
Ported
it'll
or
bolt onto
something.
5.7s. Yeah, it's ported. So it'll fit on your 5.7s and your 6.4s.
I've had nothing but good things out of it. I took it from here to Florida and back with a NAG 1 and his 2, and I got 23 the gallon for Eddie 1050s. I couldn't be happier with it. It's
so
just
get
turbos,
that deal.
baby.
He's got his turbo kit here, so he needs to get rid of that blower. So
Yep.
grab it up.
Message me.
All right, what else? Let's do 1 or 2 more.
What's about that? What was the what's about the typical cost for that turbo kit on a WK2 platform? What do we typically see those?
Oh, like the one you just saw?
Yeah.
So generally, if it's a Hellcat powered vehicle, so Trackhawk TRX, Hellcat, or anything like that, what most of our customers end up doing is they want to opt for flex fuel at the same time. You know, with the multiple boost settings and proper fueling upgrades. On he did a chiller on his as well, so that's going to be closer to 30 grand installed and tuned for everything. But generally, you know, depending on your upgrades, 20 to 25 grand for, you know, a generic. I want twin turbos and flex.
And that will get you that 4-digit number.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Give you with like I said, the flexibility of less with an untouched blower, untouched transmission engine. Naturally, we know it's not going to live forever.
Right.
Customer understands if he, you know.